Ladies and gentlemen, this is your final boarding call for the good ship SS tomorrow.
Today on The Friendly Futurists, AI in cybersecurity. And welcome back. And today's guest is a representative for Kaseya here in Australia. Daniel Garcia is based over in Wollongong, and we're going to discuss where AI sits in regards to cybersecurity. And as we're going into 2025, the main threats to look out for and why small to medium businesses really should be taking cybersecurity really seriously. And I can't stress this enough, guys, because the bulk majority of businesses out there are small businesses, and they are more likely to get targeted than the larger ones that we always hear about. So the discussion with Daniel is coming up after the break. And welcome back to another episode. Today we've got Daniel Garcia. He joins us from Wollongong. He's from Kaseya. And Daniel, welcome. And with all my guests, can you just give us a quick rundown about your journey so far and start wherever you want to start?
Awesome. Hi, David, and hello to all the listeners. So yes, I started my Kaseya journey in March, and I've been with the organisation since then. I started as a senior director of Troop here and launched what is a educational program for MSPs to teach them, how to become, the best version of themselves, the most profitable and the most efficient. Something I'm very passionate about. And up in July, I became the VP and GM for APAC for Kaseya. Prior to coming on board with Kaseya, I've spent most of my career in the MSP space, working across a couple of different MSPs, also working in internal IT at a nuclear reactor here in Sydney. So I've had quite a variety of different roles, Dave.
Oh, fantastic. And yes, nuclear is a safe word on this podcast. I know we have covered other renewable energy, so I'll have to get this straight. I'm not a complete greedy. Now, as time of recording, we've just been rewarded the 2024 Golden Data Award. Can you just talk us through it? And congratulations.
Yeah, so we were able to relaunch the Data Awards, something that I know a lot of our partners were super excited about. And we launched a whole variety of different categories. And, we were able to award them at our annual event at the DataCon APAC. Now, there was a bunch of different categories. And, James Borg was the winner of the Ultimate Data Award, taking out the Partner of the Year.
Oh, fantastic. And let's take a step back. What is Kaseya's mission, and how does it position themselves within the cybersecurity sector?
Yeah, look, we think of ourselves as playing an important part in providing the software that our partners can take to market. So for us, we want to make sure we've got the completeness of all the technology that the end customer requires to protect them, to make sure that they're secure and that the systems are always on. And for us, we also feel like we have a key part to play to make sure that they're at affordable prices. So for many, many years, enterprise organizations have seen the importance of providing, cyber security tools. And, small to mid-sized businesses have sort of gone for a long time, not being able to afford it, running the risk. So, we feel we have an important responsibility. So we want to make sure that our partners, the MSPs providing the software to these organizations and the services to these organizations, have the right tools, but also that are priced in a way that no one needs to be making compromised decisions about, can I afford this tool? Is it going to impact me as an organization? Our partners, not necessarily, making sure they're making the right margins to support their businesses.
Yeah, and I guess also too, it's very important to look after the small end of the market, not just the major players.
No, 100%. The global economy is made up of, or 90% of the global economy is made up of small to mid-sized businesses. Yeah. And small to mid-sized businesses are also becoming more and more the target of threat actors, because in many cases their defenses or, the protections they have in place are a lot lower than some of the bigger organizations. So when we put those two things together, they have such an important part of the global economy. And without those small and mid-sized businesses, if they continue to be attacked, we're losing as an economy. And we want to make sure that they can afford to put the right protections in place for them to continue to grow.
Very much so. And speaking of which, what is the state of play for cybersecurity today?
The state of play for cybersecurity today?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. So what we're seeing is that there is an involvement. So enterprise organizations, we definitely seen for a while now, they've probably had a good level of protection. But for the small to mid-sized businesses, there is still some way to go. And there's some legislation changes that are coming, and there's more responsibilities for directors of these organizations to put in the right protections. But what we have seen is still a slow uptake on some of these technologies. And I think to date, some of that has been caused by what's probably is expensive software for these small to mid-sized businesses, as well as the people who provide these software, the MSPs who support the SMBs. They haven't always had the right tool set. And so we're super excited to be able to provide that tool set, something that's completely integrated and helps the MSP provide, these support at the right cost base for the SMB.
Fantastic. And where does AI, that has been a hot topic for the last 2 years, but where does this sort of fit into this landscape?
Yeah, look, here at Kaseya, we look at automations and for us, the AI, we want to make sure we are building practical applications for artificial intelligence. So a big part of our story is the fact that, out of the 45 applications or software pieces modules that we supply, we want to make sure that each and every one of those are tightly integrated, because that's, for us, the first step in ensuring we can leverage artificial intelligence and automation. So for us, like I said, we've got 1,500 plus integrations in our IT Complete modules, which allows us to do a couple things. We've got over 1 million new daily users on our platform. And that gives us a lot of metadata about how our partners are leveraging the software that we provide them. We've built out a Kaseya data model that allows us to understand the clicks and the workflows of the multifunction technician. With that in play, we understand the automations that we want to build and the artificial intelligence that helps us identify what those automations are. So we're using artificial intelligence to provide better automations for our customers. We're using artificial intelligence we call them Cooper bots, to sort of leverage some of the integrations that we have in the platform and allow seamless integration between the different modules across the IT Complete stack.
Interesting. And in terms of bad actors we come up against, are we seeing more machines, less humans these days, or is it a bit of a mixture of both?
Yeah, still a mixture of both. Threat actors are definitely leveraging AI tools, but there is still very much a human element to this. Like most artificial intelligence applications, they're being used to do components or parts of, in this case, bad things, whether it be initially making initial communication or better written communication, or whether it be to find gaps or vulnerabilities in protections for the SMB. But definitely still a combination across both AI and people who are running these bad practices.
And I guess too that you need really to protect yourself from bad actors with AI. You need probably say a good AI, a protector AI to really combat. Otherwise, you just been machine against man, and which I don't think we will win. Or odds will be stacked against us.
Yeah, obviously we want to leverage artificial intelligence to do a lot of the computation, to do a lot of the reviews of the logs and make sure we have all the protections in place. So whether it's, as I sort of mentioned, artificial intelligence reviewing each of the logs and flagging it to the good guys, let's call them.
Yeah.
We're there to protect the MSPs and the end customers that we support. We are leveraging artificial intelligence to make our staff and also our MSP partners as efficient as possible, letting them, using artificial intelligence to do a lot of that grunt work and flagging and raising things of, that needs their time and attention and their focus and stuff that, we're still very much dependent on for people for.
Yeah. And coming into 2025, where you see the main threats for small and medium-sized businesses, cybersecurity-wise?
Yeah, that's a great question. So main threats, we still see users of, the end user as one of the biggest weaknesses inside of a network defense or the defense for an organization. There is still a lot of education that needs to occur for the end users, and testing is an important part of, cyber awareness training and cyber awareness testing. We want to make sure that those end users are also have as much protections in place, either through prompts and warnings when we identify what it could be potential bad actors or bad emails that are coming through, whether spam or phishing attacks. We want to make sure that, we're protecting them when they're clicking on links, with upstream DNS protection, whether it's protecting them via backing up their inboxes, and should they do something wrong, at least we can restore, and that's obviously the last line of defense. But for us, making sure that that end user has as much extra support and protection in place, utilizing software that were available, that's for us where we see that's where we're going to be able to get the most protection for an organization.
Yeah. I guess too, are we moving more and more towards a zero trust architecture in cybersecurity for small and medium businesses?
Yeah, look at it, absolutely. And we have different tools in that particular space as well to ensure that organizations that are moving up on the maturity model from cybersecurity can take advantage of these particular things, making sure that we've got some tools that helps us with both the protection of the device and the user, and we like those tools to work in harmony. So, before devices connect to the network, we want to make sure that, they've got antivirus turned on, they've got EDR turned on, that there's someone's reviewing their logs and their patching's completed. So from a zero trust perspective, we want to make sure that even before they connect to the network and connect to maybe, remote back into the office, that the device is protected, that the user is aware of, what are potential threats.
Yeah. Speaking of which, as this podcast is about the future, I want you to cast your mind, say, the 2030s and beyond, because the time we release it in 2025. Where do you see the space? Well, I know it's probably a hard question, but where do you see the space, say, in 5-10 years' time?
Yeah, look, both my belief in that and Kaseya's are pretty well aligned here. I think we will continue to build out more integrations and a hell of a lot of automation. So for me, automation is going to be key for the MSPs and the small to mid-sized businesses to continue to operate in the future. The technology or the digital evolution across the small to mid-sized businesses has already started, and we're already seeing a lot of SMBs, and it's probably been accelerated by COVID, wholly relying on technology to operate their business. And these SMBs, they don't have internal IT departments. They're reliant on MSPs. So what I see the future becoming is that SMB market, whether it's 100-seat organizations or 200-seat organizations, probably becoming more reliant on external service providers like MSPs, and that number will continue to grow. So the MSP market will continue to grow, and there'll be more and more businesses in that space providing services. And they're going to need to become more efficient to be able to provide those services. So I believe there will be a lot more automation that is going to eliminate a lot of the redundant or repetitive remedial work that's happening today. And that's going to be replaced with automations that leverage artificial intelligence and leverages the integrations that we have in place today.
I guess too, that will just free up humans for the real precise work, the one that is not as laborious.
Yeah, exactly. We want to be using humans to do smart things and not to do repetitive, boring clicks of a button that can be very easily automated, right? So we're in the game to provide that automation for our customers, and we think by the turn of the decade, we will be able to eliminate or substitute what is currently done by humans by automations. We reckon we can do 65 to 85% of their current workloads. And that's going to free them up to do, like you said, higher order work and provide some really cool services for end customers.
Absolutely. Now, I'm joining a chat this afternoon here, Daniel, but before we go, is there anything I didn't ask but should?
No, I think you groomed me rather well.
That's good.
No, I think you definitely asked all the right questions. But in terms of my advice or final thoughts, artificial intelligence and automations are going to be the key for the future, both for the MSP to deliver an efficient service, but also for SMBs to be able to leverage technology into the future too. They're going to need systems that are always available and always secure.
Fantastic. And before we go, finally, where else can we find you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. Just, search Daniel Garcia, or you can send me an email on daniel.garcia@kaseya.com.
Fantastic. Daniel, I'll make sure those in the show notes. Daniel, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you this afternoon. Thanks for coming on.
Dave.
Yep.
Have a great day.
Pleasure's all mine. And thank you to Daniel and from the team of Sling and Stone again for another stellar guest. Next time on Friendly Futurists, we are actually going into bed. The Friendly Futurists is a podcast West production. It's produced and edited by me, Dave Monk. If you love this show, please leave a 5-star review on your favourite platform. Until next time, friends, remember to stay curious, and the future is user-friendly.
Another Podcasts West production.
This podcast is just for educational purposes and it's not financial advice. I'm not a financial planner or advisor. Please do your homework and seek professional help before you take on any adventures.